When I first arrived in Hollow Valley, I told myself I was running towards something. A quieter life, a fresh start, some place where no one knew my name or what I'd done, or failed to do. The town was small. One gas station, one diner, one main street that seemed stuck somewhere in the 1960s. Everything was tidy. Too tidy. The kind of place where windows gleamed, porches were swept, and the locals smiled too long without blinking. I found a rental through a local listing, an old farmhouse just outside town. The owner didn't want much. Cash only. No paperwork. He never gave me a last name, just met me on the porch with a set of tarnished keys and a quiet, "Don't go poking round the basement." I laughed. He didn't. The house was worn but solid. High ceilings, scuffed hardwood. Windows that looked out over a forest that crept close on all sides. I unpacked slowly, drank too much whiskey the first few nights, and ignored the hollow feeling that had followed me here. It started with the birds. There weren't any. I didn't notice at first, just a sense of stillness, like the air was holding its breath. No birds, no bugs, not even squirrels in the trees. Just wind and silence. The first time I walked into town, people stared. Not rudely, just too long. They'd nod, smile, then watch me like they were waiting for something. At the diner, the waitress called me stranger and served my coffee without asking what I wanted. When I asked how long the house had been vacant, she paused and said, "It waits. That's all it does. It just waits." I thought maybe it was some local joke, small town superstition. I didn't laugh. That night, I heard footsteps overhead. It was a two-story home, but I hadn't gone upstairs since moving in. I was sleeping on the couch, telling myself I didn't need the extra space. But the footsteps were there, soft, slow, deliberate. I climbed the stairs with a flashlight, every step moaning under my weight. The rooms were empty, dusty, cold. The last door on the right was closed. I didn't remember closing it. When I opened it, the air hit me like a wall, musty, damp, and metallic. The room was bare, except for a small rocking chair in the corner. It was rocking. I slammed the door and didn't go back. The locals avoided me after that. Not with hostility, more like pity. The old man at the general store handed me my groceries and said, "Sometimes it picks the lonely ones." You didn't hear it, did you? I asked what he meant. He just shook his head. The next morning, there was something carved into my front door. One word, "Stay." I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the porch with a shotgun across my lap, listening. I thought I heard whispering in the trees, but when I turned my head, it stopped. A few days later, I finally went down into the basement. I don't know why. Maybe I was tired of being afraid. Maybe it was the way the air in the house had shifted, like it was holding something just beneath the surface. Maybe I was already breaking. The door to the basement was swollen shut. Took me half an hour to wedge it open with a crowbar. The stairs were steep and the air was damp and cold. I could hear dripping, smelled mildew, dust, and something else. Something faintly sweet, like spoiled fruit. There were jars on the shelves, dozens of them, each one filled with cloudy liquid, and inside, hair, teeth, nails. I dropped one and it shattered on the concrete, releasing a sour stench that made me gag. In the back of the basement, I found a wooden door, newer than the rest. Carved into it were rows of tally marks, hundreds of them, and a name. Mine. I didn't tell anyone. Who would believe me? The next day, the church bell rang. I hadn't even known Hollow Valley had a church. It was up on the hill, tucked behind trees. I climbed the hill out of some twisted need for answers. The bell had stopped by the time I got there. The church was unlocked. Inside, the pews were empty. Dust hung in the air like fog. The altar was bare. No cross, no candles. Nothing but long, shallow bowl made of dark stone. I stepped closer. Inside the bowl was water. When I looked down, I didn't see my reflection. I saw the house, not as it was, but ruined, rotting, windows broken, ivy like veins choking the walls. And in the window, a figure, watching me, tall, still, faceless. I stumbled back, heart hammering, and fled. After that, things got worse. The house shifted when I wasn't looking. Rooms changed, walls breathed, doors that led to closets now open into narrow hallways that turned back on themselves. I'd fall asleep on the couch and wake up in the upstairs bedroom, the rocking chair creaking slowly in the dark. And the townspeople, they started smiling more. Too much, like they knew the punchline to a joke I hadn't heard yet. I confronted the waitress at the diner, asked her what the hell was going on. She stared at me, eyes glassy, and said, "It doesn't want you to leave." "No one does." "Who's it?" She smiled wider. "Hollow Valley. It's always hungry. And you came here empty." I drove to the edge of town that night, past the gas station, past the old mill, but the road didn't end. It just looped. The sign for Welcome to Hollow Valley appeared again and again, no matter which direction I drove. I was trapped, and worse, I was starting to forget what my life had been before. My name felt distant. The faces of people I once loved blurred in my memory. I tried writing things down, but the ink would smear, the words would fade. Photos curled in the heat, then blackened. The house wanted me to stay. The town needed me too. I don't know how long it's been now. Days, weeks, time bends here. There's someone in the house with me now. I hear them at night, breathing just outside the bedroom door. Their shadow crawls across the floor. They never speak, but I feel them, waiting. And the townspeople, they're watching the house, standing just beyond the tree line some nights, holding lanterns. Whisper my name like a lullaby. I've stopped fighting. The door in the basement is open now. There are new names carved into it. Mine is still there, deeper now, permanent. Underneath it, a new line begins. I don't remember carving it, but I will. The house was cheap, suspiciously cheap. I should have known better, but I was desperate. Newly divorced, newly unemployed, and newly 35. I was clinging to anything that felt like a fresh start. The listing was vague but promising. Secluded farmhouse. Needs work. Price to move. The photos showed a charming, if weathered, two-story home at the edge of a tree line, surrounded by tall grass and silence. I bought it sight unseen. When I arrived, the silence greeted me like a heavy cloak. No birds, no wind, just a dull crunch of gravel under my tires and a low groan of old wood as I stepped onto the porch. The house was older than I thought. The paint was peeling in wide, curling flakes, and every window looked like an unblinking ice smeared with grime. But it was mine alone. Inside, the air was stale, like it hadn't been breathed in years. Dust motes danced in the sunlight pouring through cracked blinds. The floor creaked with every step, and some rooms smelled faintly of rot, though I couldn't find the source. Still, I unpacked, told myself it was just a fixer-upper, that the isolation would help me reset, heal. The first few nights were quiet, restless but quiet. The mattress on the floor was lumpy, and the walls seemed to settle more than they should, but nothing felt wrong. Not yet. It started with the door at the end of the hall. The upstairs hallway had 4 doors, 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a fourth. One I assumed led to a linen closet. But every time I walked past it, I felt a tug in my chest, like I was holding my breath without meaning to. I never opened it, never even touched the knob, until the 4th night. I was brushing my teeth when I heard it, the soft click of a door opening. I turned off the faucet and listened. Silence. I stepped into the hallway, toothbrush still in hand, and saw it. The 4th door, opened just a crack. My heart gave a dull warning thud. I approached slowly, each floorboard beneath me shrieking like a trapped animal. I pushed the door open. The space was nothing. No shelves, no light, just a narrow room lined with bare wood, maybe 4 feet wide. But the smell hit me immediately, wet earth, mold, and something sour like spoiled meat. I shut the door. The next day, I nailed it shut. That night, I dreamed of walls that breathed. I was inside them, pressed between beams and insulation, unable to move. Something was on the other side, scraping, whispering. I woke up to the sound of nails popping loose. The door was open again. This time, the smell was stronger. I stepped back, heart pounding, and slammed it shut. Drove more nails in. Dragged an old dresser in front of it. I didn't sleep. The next day, I called the real estate agent. Asked about the house's history. She was vague. Said the previous owner had passed away, but didn't elaborate. No family. No will. The place had been sitting empty for years. I asked about the door. She paused and said, "Oh, that? Probably just storage. Old homes have strange little rooms like that." She sounded nervous, like she knew more. The nights got worse. I started hearing voices. Not whispers, actual conversations muffled behind the walls, like people talking in the next room. I'd press my ear to the drywall and hear fragments. "He's here now. Does he remember? We could show him. We could make him see." I tore into the walls once, ripped out panels with a crowbar, convinced there were speakers or squatters or something. Nothing, just dust and dead bugs. But the smell was there, always there, behind every wall, below the floor, thick and sweet and rotting. Then came the photographs. I found them under the sink, a shoebox filled with Polaroids, all curled and faded. Each one showed a person standing in the hallway, my hallway, just outside the fourth door. Different people, different years, some in black and white, some in color, men, women, even children, all with the same expression, wide eyes, open mouths, fear. A few of the photos had dark smudges in the background, shapes, faces. One photo was recent. It showed me, standing in the hallway, hand on the doorknob. I don't remember it being taken. I started seeing things out of the corner of my eye, shapes that didn't move with the light. I'd wake up to find the dresser move an inch, a nail on the floor, a crack in the wood that hadn't been there before. I stopped eating. I couldn't keep anything down. The house felt full, even though I was alone. The air was heavy, electric, like a storm that never came. I tried to leave, packed a bag, got in the car, drove 10 miles down the road, only to find myself pulling into the same gravel driveway, like I'd forgotten where I was going halfway there. The second time, I made it farther, 20 miles, a gas station. I asked the clerk if she knew Wren Hollow. She blinked and said, "That place burned down." I laughed, told her I was just there this morning. She didn't laugh back. I drove home in silence, but something had changed. The door was wide open when I returned. No nails, no dresser, just yawning darkness. I lit a lantern and stepped inside. It wasn't a closet. It was a staircase, narrow, descending into blackness. The walls were wet, the air thick. I told myself to turn back. I didn't. The steps creaked like ribs breaking. The further I went, the more the smell wrapped around me, dense and sweet and wrong. After what felt like hours, I reached the bottom. It was a room, a perfect replica of my upstairs hallway. Same doors, same wallpaper, same creaking floor. I turned to leave, but the stairs were gone. Only another hallway stretched behind me. I walked and walked, each hallway connected to another, looping, shifting. Sometimes the wallpaper bled. Sometimes the doors screamed when I passed them. Once, I opened one and found a man nailed to the wall, smiling. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. Eventually, I found a mirror. My reflection didn't match. It smiled when I didn't. Then it whispered, "You're part of the house now." I don't remember how I got out. I woke up in my bed, clothes soaked, mud on the sheets. The door was gone, as if it had never been there. But the smell remained, and the house was different. Smaller, somehow, the rooms tighter, the corners darker. Sometimes I hear knocking from inside the walls. Sometimes I hear my own voice. Sometimes I wake up and the photos are scattered across the floor again. More of them now. Some showing things I haven't done. Some showing things I will. I tried burning it down once. Soaked every wall in gasoline. Struck a match. The flames died as soon as they lit. The walls hissed. I live here now. I don't go outside anymore. Not because I'm afraid of what's out there, but because I'm afraid I'll find myself walking back here. Again and again. The house remembers. It doesn't let go. And I think one day soon it's going to open that door again. This time it won't need to ask.